So you see, you really don't know where you're going to find art. You really don't know where it is. For example, all my favorite comedy today is TV commercials. They're amazing, and radio commercials. It's the stuff in between the commercials that's so lame. But the commercials are brilliant. I think they stole all the writers from the shows, and they paid them more just to do the commercials. And after all, it is less work, because you only have to write a minute's worth of comedy instead of 30 minutes worth of comedy. But in any case, I've never done this before. I do clinics. As you might know, we did this all week. It's called Effortless Mastery. I wrote a book called Effortless Mastery. And it's called Liberating the Master Musician Within. And it's kind of a spiritual book, but it's kind of a psychological book. And it's also a how-to book. How to do what you do without questioning it, and how to enjoy it. And how to not criticize yourself while you're doing it, but how to study it with reverence when you're studying it. Did you get all that? And it's really hard for a human being to compartmentalize himself. For example, it's really hard for a human being to be free when they perform. But it's really hard for a human being to be focused when they practice. So a lot of musicians tend to play when they should be practicing. And unfortunately, they practice when they should be playing. So their performance is uninspired because they're busy trying to do something, which is practicing. And then they go to practice, and then through fear, they just say, oh, the heck with it, and they just start performing in a room where it doesn't matter. So we've been talking about that all week, and occasionally I would do something where I would say, play some music. It's funny, the line between words and music are blurring for me a little now, because when I notice, when I'm speaking words, sometimes it feels melodious. And when I play music while I speak words, both things seem to have a little more intention than if I was just playing. For example, if I just came out here and played a solo piano concert, then it would be hard to be spontaneous, because every pianist feels the weight of all the marvelous solo piano concerts that have been. So you might sit down and look at the piano and think, you know, Vladimir Horowitz, that would be a bad idea to think of as you were playing. Or you might think, Keith Jarrett, that's just sabotage. Or Art Tatum, I don't know if you've ever heard of Art Tatum, but he might have been the greatest pianist of the 20th century. Funny thing about Art Tatum, he was an improviser, but he was a virtuoso. And he played music kind of like this. But much better than that, of course. And Vladimir Horowitz was so taken with Art Tatum that Art Tatum had a tune that he was sort of famous for, T for Two. Do you remember T for Two? He could play T for Two all night and not repeat himself. Variation after variation. And the way the story goes, this completely flipped Horowitz out. He couldn't believe it. So Horowitz started preparing a rendition of T for Two, with several variations. Whoa, something just happened. Okay. And when he had practiced this thing enough, he invited Art Tatum over to his house for dinner, and he wanted to show him his wonderful rendition of T for Two. And after they had a nice dinner, the way the story goes, it might have been embellished before it got to me. You know how these chain stories are. Horowitz said, now listen to this. And he played T for Two, and he did all these variations a la Art Tatum, and he got done. It was about a 15-minute piece, and Art Tatum looked at him and went, oh, yeah, it's nice. Oh, you know, but you could also do this. And he sat down and he started playing for another half an hour. And, you know, if you know Vladimir Horowitz, he actually had mental problems during his life. And the way the story goes, this flipped him out, and he went back in the joint for a few years. So, and it's funny. That's some of the things we studied this week, too. We studied being on a level of inspiration, but letting go of the results. And we studied that all week. So this is all to say that this performance is the first time I've ever done what I'm doing now. And for those of you that hate it, take my apologies early on. And if it works out, but it's fun because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to play. And if I were you, I'd be saying, they're great. I paid money to hear a guy that doesn't know what he's going to say and doesn't know what he's going to play. Gee, what a bargain. We'll just have to see. If you want your money back at the end, tough.